Single PR applicants gain advantage in points-based immigration system. Canada's points-based immigration system, known for its structure and fairness, is increasingly favoring single applicants over married ones under the Express Entry program. While the system rewards individual merit, it also presents strategic choices for couples seeking permanent residency. If you are interested in this topic, please pay attention and watch the video through to the end to get all the information. Please hit like and subscribe, and don't forget to push the notification bell for an upcoming video. Canada's Express Entry immigration system is widely praised for its transparency and fairness, but it also presents unique strategic choices especially for married couples. A key advantage is evident: single applicants can gain a points-based edge over their married counterparts. This advantage has led many couples to explore creative, but still lawful, ways to improve their comprehensive ranking system scores. However, immigration experts caution that strategy must not cross the line into misrepresentation. Here's a breakdown of how this system favors single applicants and what it means for prospective immigrants. 1. Points advantage for single applicants. Canada's CRS allocates up to 1,200 points to rank candidates for permanent residence. One significant factor is marital status. Being single can add as much as 40 points compared to a married applicant. This difference arises because CRS awards fewer points for factors such as language skills and education when calculated jointly with a spouse's profile. As a result, many married applicants choose to apply as single or rather, as individuals without listing their spouse as accompanying to maximize their scores. This option is not only popular but often necessary in today's hyper-competitive environment. 2. Non-accompanying spouse option. Under Canadian immigration rules, an applicant can legally designate a spouse as non-accompanying on the PR application. This option is typically exercised when the spouse does not have strong qualifications, lacks Canadian work experience, or performs poorly in English or French language tests. While the spouse remains eligible to join later through sponsorship, the immediate benefit is an increase in the principal applicant's CRS score. This tactic, while legal, must be used with care and full disclosure. 3. Legal strategy versus misrepresentation. There is a fine line between strategic planning and intentional deception. Applicants who declare their spouse as non-accompanying must be transparent about the spouse's actual location, immigration history, and relationship status. Misrepresentation such as failing to disclose that a spouse is already residing in Canada or planning to follow shortly can result in application refusal, a 5-year ban, or even permanent ineligibility. Canadian immigration law takes such breaches seriously, so applicants must ensure every detail is accurate and consistent. 4. Rising CRS score requirements. The stakes are higher than ever. With Canada reducing its permanent resident intake from 500,000 to 395,000 in 2025, the CRS cutoff has surged. In 2021, candidates with scores around 368 were often selected. Today, the minimum score has climbed above 529, making even highly qualified candidates vulnerable. This trend has intensified competition and made every point crucial in the application process. 5. IRCC warnings and the road ahead. Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada has taken notice of potentially exploitative strategies. Officials have issued procedural fairness letters to applicants suspected of abusing the non-accompanying spouse provision. These letters offer a chance to explain before rejection, but they also signal increasing scrutiny. Looking ahead, IRCC may tighten policies or introduce reforms to discourage manipulation of the system. Canada's new immigration policies succeed in curbing population growth. Changes in immigration policy have all but halted Canada's population growth, according to numbers released by Statistics Canada. Between January 1, 2025, and April 1, 2025, Canada's population increased by only 20,107, or 0%. The reduction in population growth was largely driven by a reduction in temporary and permanent resident admissions. According to Statistics Canada, the number of temporary residents in Canada fell by 61,111 from January 1, 2025 to April 1, 2025. This small quarterly increase has not been seen since the third quarter of 2020, when the population dropped due to COVID-19 border restrictions, tied with the third quarter of 2014. In contrast, Canada's population averaged a growth rate of 0.3% between the first quarter of 2001 to the first quarter of 2024. Throughout 2024, the Canadian federal government embarked on a sustained program to reduce Canada's temporary resident levels, citing as a rationale the increased pressure on housing, social services, and other infrastructure. Below, we identify the measures the government has taken which have been driving the decrease in temporary resident population levels. Immigration measures. There are several factors that are likely contributing to the slowing quarterly population growth reported by Statistics Canada. Fewer temporary and permanent resident admissions. In October of 2024, the federal government announced that they would be reducing the number of permanent resident (PR) admissions in their 2025 to 27 immigration levels plan. In 2024, the permanent resident admissions target was 485,000, whereas the most recent levels plan highlights a PR admissions target of 395,000 for 2025. This year's levels plan also introduced temporary resident targets, with an overall target of 673,650 admissions for foreign workers and international student admissions. The federal government has stated that it intends to reduce the number of temporary residents in Canada to 5% of the population by the end of 2026. The first quarter of 2025 represents the sixth consecutive quarter of slowing population growth since these intended changes were announced. Cap on study permit applications. Earlier this year, the federal government announced it would be capping study permit applications, for processing, at 550,162 for 2025, from January 22, 22 to December 31. The number of study permits it aims to issue is lower yet, at 437,000, which represents a 10% decrease from the 2024 cap. Study permit caps are a relatively new immigration stabilization strategy, first introduced in 2024. To implement this cap, Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, introduced Provincial Attestation Letter, PAL, requirements for most study permits submitted on January 22, 2024, onward. Moratorium on low-wage LMIAs. Certain labor market impact assessments, LMIAs, submitted from September 26, 2024, onward will no longer be processed by Employment and Social Development Canada, ESDC. This change applies to the low-wage stream of the Temporary Foreign Worker Program, TFWP, and was announced in August of 2024. Applications submitted with a wage below the provincial or territorial threshold or in a census metropolitan area, CMA, with a 6% or higher unemployment rate will not be processed. The federal government releases a list of CMAs and their corresponding unemployment rate quarterly. Without an LMIA, employers are unable to hire a foreign national through the TFWP, and a TFWP will not be permitted to renew their work permit. Restricted eligibility for spousal open work permits. As of January 2025, the federal government announced that only spouses of certain international students and foreign workers can apply for an open work permit, OWP. Spousal OWPs for spouses of international students have been restricted to the spouses of those enrolled in master's programs that are 16 months or longer in duration, doctoral programs, and certain select professional programs, such as nursing, engineering, and law. Additionally, foreign workers must be working in training, education, experience, and responsibilities, TER 0 or 1 occupations, or select in-demand TER 2 and 3 occupations for their spouse to be eligible for an OWP. The foreign worker must have a work permit that will be valid for at least 16 months at the time their spouse applies for an OWP. Post-graduation work permit eligibility restrictions. In 2024, IRCC changed the eligibility requirements for post-graduation work permits, PGWPs. Effective November 1, 2024, international student graduates seeking PGWPs were required to meet certain field of study and language proficiency requirements, in addition to other criteria. Unless an international student study program is exempt, they must have graduated from a program linked to labor shortage market in order to be eligible for a PGWP, if they applied for their study permit after November 1, 2024. That is all for today, in this video. What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the entire video. Hopefully, the information is useful to you. See you later, in the next video. Till then, take care.